And we are back for another episode of Savages Unscripted. Savages Unscripted, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my co-host. I think you're still my co-host, right? We haven't fired you at this point, Al?
What it do, man? Still here, still hired, man. I don't know what.
Still employed?
Why is there speculation? Was the intern supposed to replace me permanently?
There has been some talks.
Damn.
In Savages Unscripted. Just some complaints, about the way you do things.
Is it just your complaints?
Yeah, basically my complaints.
Let it out, man. This is Savages Unscripted.
I have to air my grievances to myself.
Oh my god.
I have to write it in a sheet of paper, put it in the suggestion box, and read it and act surprised.
Oh my god.
Nah, but we're back for another episode. This is officially episode number 17. 17.
Oh my god, dude. Just realized that number right now.
How long did we talk about this for? Saying we should do this, we should do this, we should do this.
I think as many episodes as we have right now.
Yeah, I think we'd be probably like maybe 40 episodes in if we would have started from right when we wanted to do this.
It's funny, dude. It just it takes time for us to really think about this, but at the end, we just did it. We're improving over time, and we're just gonna see where it goes from here. We're all unscripted.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. Actually, that's a great thing you bring up right now, because I'm the one that does the editing. But I think at times you said you listen to the older episodes, and I do that at times too, because I see it as like how have we changed since the first ones? And I think we're growing like in such a short time, which is good. Like I listened to our first one and I'm like, I wish we hadn't done this. I wish I hadn't said this. But whatever, it's already out there. We're Savages Unscripted, and that's what we do.
That's what's up, man. I always just look back and think how much more I ranted. Now I'm doing a little less, so baby steps, little by little.
I think I understand you a little more, because, yeah, you wouldn't just rant, you would ramble, dude. Like, you would say something for 3 minutes, and you could have said it in, like, 20 seconds.
It's just, I get so passionate about, like, anything that really grinds my gears, or I really love, like, sports-wise, or video games-wise.
Yeah, but damn. So incoherently passionate, Al.
Is this a roast for me? What's going on?
This is the roast, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 17 is the roast of Al. That is what we're doing.
Are we going to open the suggestion box?
I just got the thumbs up from our intern, who is actually in the room.
Oh.
But he is doing his own thing right now, so he's just helping up in the background. He's had some complaints about you too, Al. I was telling you about this right before the show.
Papa Bear.
He said, "Get your shit right on the social media."
Oh, what? The submissions he submitted.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. You can talk to him after.
All right, we'll work this out.
But yeah, let's get into this episode 17. What's going on this week, Al?
So, just to start it off, how was your Thanksgiving, man?
It was good. I think it went by a little too fast, but I was proud of myself. I did what I said. I had one plate of food.
That's right.
It was a big plate of food. It was a mountain. I didn't have space for any dessert.
Dude.
But I enjoyed it. I'm that person that actually enjoys seeing my family. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, the holidays, they think of the shopping and gifts maybe, or just food. Like, I actually like seeing my family. I'm not saying everybody is just what I just described. But I actually do. I don't see my family too often. It used to be like on family parties and these kinds of get-togethers, but now it's just more like, it's a little less.
I mean, you recently just lived with your parents, so I don't think you'll miss them that much.
I don't mean that part of the family. I see them a little too often, but I mean like cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, like that, like more of the extended family, like. I told you I live with my sister, so I literally see my family a little too often.
Ooh. They're listening to us right now?
But how was your Thanksgiving? Nah, she doesn't listen.
For sure. So, for the most part, it was more than I expected. I was first surprised when we were first invited from my mom's business circle, and it was kind of surprising, and I liked it. It was supposed to be a simple lunch to begin with. It was not a dinner. So we ate really early. And then we would just have a little chat and be gone by one. Or by one, not one, but like 2 to 3 hours after. So I'm like, okay, I typically am not a huge fan of Thanksgiving. Because I feel like shit after Thanksgiving dinner. Because you just eat all that food. Yeah. And then the next day is like, oh, you can't even move. You wake up like shit. You're stuck in the toilet for like an hour. It's just like, whatever. But yeah, so I ended up just going. Had basically Thanksgiving like around lunchtime. And dude, oh my God. I expected, like you, I had my, not rule, but I've gotten a habit of just eating less recently. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just get like a plate's worth. Not even a mountain, just a plate's worth. And that's it. Just one dish. Well, the problem was that they just kept acting like my grandma and giving me food and food and food. And you've been invited. So you just can't say no. And the thing that I found funny is that all this family's freaking skinny. And they just keep eating more and more. Like, holy shit, man, they're eating more than me.
See, what probably happened was as they were serving you food, they were probably thinking like, you know what? This is probably all he has going for him at the moment. Let's give him some more food. He's not getting that much loving. Let's give him some more food. Oh, and, he doesn't have a girlfriend now? More food. That's probably what it was. They're compensating.
Just like grandma, man. But yeah, dude,
just like grandma.
It's just I kept getting just little by littles, dude. It was like that little story where the witch feeds the kids candy to get fat and just cook them later. I felt like those kids, man.
Oh, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. But at the end,
you look like those kids.
Thank you. But so I ended up eating like in total, I feel like 3 dishes worth of food, and then they gave us like 3 kinds of desserts. It was like apple pie, peach pie with ice cream on top, bread pudding, flan, and I think some cookies. I can't remember. But damn, bro, it was just like I was just eating just to be nice. I did not want to eat that. I wanted to at most eat a third of what I ate. But after that, it was great. Just had a little chat and then on our own separate ways. It was pretty quick. I liked it. Nothing too how would you say it, like emotional wise with the Thanksgiving type of stuff, like, oh, I'm thankful for this or that. No, it was just straightforward to the point, and I like that brief process of it. So it was cool.
No, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny because I've gone to like Friendsgivings and like other Thanksgivings with other families, and you see this the what are you thankful for and saying grace and all that stuff. And I have no problem with all that stuff. I like all that stuff. I think especially it depends on who you're with, but my family is just you got your food already.
Yes, right. And
there's times where if you go to like different Thanksgivings and different dinners and these different traditions, you're kind of like, do we do this? What do we do? So I got my plate and I'm like looking around like, is anyone digging in yet? And like as soon as I saw my aunt's boyfriend or my aunt's husband eating and digging into his food, I was like, all right, it's time. But like I've been with like other friends, like you get food and
just munch.
So I mean, you're not gonna get in trouble if you start eating, but it's just you
out of
it's
respect.
just I don't know, some unspoken rules. Yeah, out of respect. But what was I gonna say? Oh, and Black Friday. Black Friday happened. That's a big thing right now. It's almost a holiday. It's I think
it is
Black
a
Friday
holiday.
is bigger than Thanksgiving right now.
It is.
It is bigger than Thanksgiving. And the sad part is when you see like those families that are already lined up before Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
That's the sad part to me.
At the end, just to...
But speaking of...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Black Friday and speaking of sad, I was talking to our intern about this earlier. I had mentioned to you about Walmart, but I didn't tell you what happened. So
¿Qué pasó?
People were curious about what exactly Walmart was going to do, for Black Friday, specifically for the employees. And you see a bunch of companies like paying overtime or doing some sort of bonus in the holidays coming up. And so Walmart basically, they're not doing that. If you're a Walmart employee, you get a 10 or 15% discount at Walmart. So they're not doing any bonus pay, no overtime pay. It's basically, hey, we're treating you. You get a 10 or 15% discount at our own store, which you work at, with your money, and it's like a limited time thing. So, hey, here's this discount. You can't use it yet. You can only use it during this week. And yeah, so they've been under lots of criticism right now, and Walmart's a company that's already been in trouble a lot as is. So this is really interesting to read.
That's funny, dude. Just their business model is that they just try to keep everything super cheap. That's why they hire so many elderly people as their employees. And that's why you're able to afford your napkins for like less than $1 or something. But
yeah, but 10
yeah, that's
or 15%. It's quite a thank you.
That's
for those employees. I would assume like those retail people should already get that sort of a discount.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even get the Black Friday, what's being given over there, that sort of pricing. That's really interesting.
And it's only for like, what, 1 or 2 days at most that you could apply this sort of offer. And the company in its own wins a ton of money. So just to give a little back to their employees that already have a bad time at Walmart, and it's known for having not the best development or good time to work at. So it's just putting more fuel in the fire for that.
And that's the funny thing in retrospect. It's, hey, we're giving you this very small, insignificant discount. You can use it at our own store with the money that we're paying you, and we can get money back. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is.
Oh my god, dude. Did you get any discounts at Amazon, or do you think those employees get better discounts at Amazon than at Walmart?
I wasn't at Walmart or at Amazon long enough to get discounts. Either that or they just didn't give me any discounts.
Cupcakes, man.
I wouldn't be surprised, you know. I got a cupcake. I got a nice, stale, I think it was like vanilla cupcake.
That's what's up.
But what I'm reading now is they're giving, I think it seems Amazon's getting a little better. I hear people that are getting hired are now, and like right off the bat, you're getting like health benefits. Before it was very tricky to get that, especially for what I was doing at Amazon. But I hope they're getting better. But
talking about Amazon, didn't you mention the other day that Jeff Bezos wanted to avoid paying taxes, so he donated a ridiculous amount of money for homeless people to avoid that type of media?
So I've got it right here. And the big thing with Amazon lately, they're one of the companies that, they made so much in the year, but they're paying basically nothing in federal taxes. And right now I am on CNBC. Mm-hmm. And just some facts right here. So basically they made about $11 billion before taxes.
Uh-huh.
And so what did Bezos do? He was like, you know what? We're not paying taxes. I'm going to donate a lot of money, which is cool. Like, if you think about it, okay, he's helping people. He's donating money.
Wait, but did he donate before he got the criticism or after he got the criticism?
After.
Okay.
Way after. This is way after. So I guess he's been criticized quite a bit. And one of the things he's been criticized too is he doesn't do much like charities and stuff like that. Like you hear of Bill Gates and a bunch of these other millionaires and billionaires doing a bunch of stuff with their money to help other people. So Jeff Bezos, basically, he donated $98.5 million to various groups that are helping homeless people, which is good. If you think about that on paper, if you think about what it is and what it means, like that's great. He's spending all this money to help people that need this, especially right now. It's the holidays. It's really cold. In some places, it's just very harsh winter. But he didn't pay taxes. And people started calculating, okay, like he paid $98.5 million. How much is this if you were to think of it as a percentage of his net worth? And this is only 0.09% of his net worth. So basically now the criticism is like, all right, like you're donating money to make yourself look good. But if you did your part and paid taxes, that will be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the big criticism going on right now with Jeff Bezos and Amazon. I believe this just took place about a week ago.
Wait, quick question. How much was he supposed to actually pay for his taxes? Do you know the
A
government rate?
lot more. A lot more.
Because I'm looking at.
I am looking for it.
Yeah, I actually found a link for. I think it's a organization, whatever. But so if you earn over between, I think right here, where is it? Okay, so head of a household, you're supposed to pay 37% taxes if you earn over $510,000, and if you're married, you're only supposed to pay. I mean, not you're supposed to pay, but if you're married, you're supposed to pay at 37% at the checkpoint of 306,000 and above. So 37% of possibly, let's say, what, 11 billion you're saying that he earned this year?
Mm-hmm.
So out of that,
yeah, 11 billion.
So let's round out to 3.5% and 10 billion. So he's supposed to have paid like 3.5 billion out of that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 92.5 million, that's like going in the single, it's like less than one, right? I think it's like point something. But damn, dude, it's just crazy how much of a slip up Amazon and this Bezos man right here is getting, because and they've already had this for a while. They got a lot of slack from the government for a while, and the big leverage they constantly get is that they're one of the most grossing companies out there, even though they haven't really made much profit recently, right? And I think as of recent that they've been making negative income, negative revenue. Mm-hmm. So it's just wild.
And there was this recent post. I don't know. I probably found it on Reddit, but I loved it. And it's funny, but it's a strong criticism of this whole situation. And it basically, wait, first let me ask you, Al, do you have Amazon Prime?
Yes.
So it's, I believe it's $120 for the year, or you can pay like monthly installments of like $13. Mm-hmm. And you know all the benefits you get from it, the 2-day shipping, sometimes less, and video and all that stuff, music, which is great. Mm-hmm. But what this post said was basically, if you have student Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, you're paying that $120 a year, you're already paying more in Amazon Prime than Amazon is paying in taxes. That's sad. That's concerning if you really think about that.
I mean,
don't defend them.
No, I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just trying to, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre, isn't it?
Dude, it's crazy how much we're... Oh my god. It's capitalism, man.
I'm not gonna get political about this, but what I will say, just logically speaking, and this does make sense, I think, if, there are tons of people who are struggling and they're getting paid a lot less and they're working multiple jobs and they're paying way more in taxes than this guy. Well, he's paying nothing in taxes. That's just ridiculous to me.
I just wonder, will Amazon ever be clamped down? Like obviously with the Trump years with us,
the tax cuts,
yeah, and all the benefits he's given to the company, especially for Amazon. For sure, he's giving it to Amazon. They're the top dogs out there. I just wonder, like, what? And I think we talked about this in previous episodes, but I remember we were talking about Hassami Haj's show where he talked about certain government laws are supposed to be updated, so certain not illegal but unethical practices by Amazon, such as cutting prices so they could then buy other companies for cheaper. I wonder if there will be ever a stop to Amazon, at least, because if you think about it and you notice more around us, Amazon's going to all the industries. They're going for wardrobes. They're going for obviously selling all the products that you need out there. Then they're already making movies. They already have their own streaming services. And last time I checked, I think they're also making a movie, and it's gonna actually, I think it already premiered. I think it was called The Golden Finch. And if they just keep going with this unlimited amount of money, they could just literally go on all the industries, and at the end, it won't be us working under the government. It will be us working under Amazon. And this is obviously an extreme view, but this constantly rapid growth could lead to that eventually. And it's just concerning, especially for a country where you're supposed to be you're not supposed to have expectations for it, but there's an open thought that you could grow your business here and you could grow it successfully, even though it's not really relevant nowadays because it's just too many damn businesses out there. But still, you should have an opportunity. But with this type of big industry just playing and moving around some small companies, it's just I don't know. It's a little disappointing, but hopefully something gets changed with that.
Yeah, so two things. That reminded me, my details are a little hazy on this. I'm going to have to look this up and link it. That'll be on the YouTube channel for anyone that's interested in this. But I know a few years ago I read that Disney is a company as well that makes just a lot of money. A lot of money on whatever they're selling. And now with Disney Plus, I don't know when's the last time you went to Disneyland, but their prices are ridiculous. Like, we talked about this before, that their prices just get higher. And the parks, they're just so much more packed. So you're paying so much to wait in line. But what I was reading, there was this article a few years ago, and they were saying that I believe Disney is still on this old contract with their parking lot, one of their main lots. And I don't think they're paying more than $1 a year.
Huh. Are you serious?
For that parking lot. Yes. I'm going to have to look into this. They're on a super old contract where they have the upper hand, like, big time. And there was this whole criticism of, the city of Anaheim put so much into this in taxes, and there's just so much going on. So much money that Disney's getting from whether it be season passes or annual passes and just everything that Disney is. But, parking passes, I'm sure that's not very cheap. But Disney's paying so little. It's just like, I don't how greedy can you be?
Hey, but people just keep going, man. Some people just don't care. They just want to suffer in the sun. Just waiting for a 30 to 1 minute ride. 30 seconds to 1 minute ride. Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is just for those listening, but Al mentioned Hassan Minaj. What he's talking about, what he's referring to is a Netflix exclusive. It's called The Patriot Act. Yep. Hassan Minaj, I believe he was a writer on Trevor Noah's show, I believe a while back. But he mainly deals with like comedy and that sort of thing. But in this show, he just talks about just random things you don't know about. He gets a little bit into politics and business of things. Think of it as a funnier TED Talk, where they're basically talking about like real life issues right now. But it's a really great show for those listening. I think that's something that kind of inspired us, I think.
It actually did. I know we kept talking about it within those 2 months that we were thinking about making the show. That we just like to bring up topics that he would mention, and it's just crazy how much we don't know out there. And we know a decent amount of stuff. It's not like or Wikipedia page or anything like that.
Yeah, like that's where I learned about the whole Supreme thing and their whole business side of it, and just how sketchy Supreme was. Mm-hmm. That's just bizarre. But that's a great show for anyone that has some extra time. I remember in the beginning, like, you recommended this to me. You're like, hey, bro, you should watch this show on Netflix. This brand new show. It's called The Patriot Act. And I remember at the time, I was like, all right, if Al likes this, it must not be good. I'm not going to watch it. And I remember I kind of put it on the back burner. And then I think you sent me like a trailer or a clip of it. And I was like, I actually like this. I actually respect Al now. And I watched it, and I'm not caught up, but it's a great show. And I've rewatched some episodes. I feel like I've learned a lot that I didn't know about. The whole thing with Turkey and that one journalist, like, at first you just hear these names and you hear these very generalized things happen in the news, and at times you don't know the full context. But Hassan Minaj does this thing where basically he, like I said, it's a bit of a TED Talk. He goes you through what's happening in this issue, who's being affected, why should you know about this? And that's a great show.
Dude, it's an amazing show. I love how he, like you said, you said it perfectly. It's a TED Talk, but actually funny. It's just great how he just, I feel like this would have been an amazing standard for a classroom. Just have a bunch of big charts in the background while you're explaining these things. And it's kind of like what everyone did in high school, where they did the slideshow presentations and stuff like that. But it's so much more captivating. His delivery just makes it great too. And this innocence too at times is funny. But moving away from that, I wanted to bring up like a little discussion I had. Like like almost a year ago, but I just recently thought about it. So I went to a bar with my friend, got a little tipsy, but we met this one dude. And he was a little tipsy too, but he was honestly speaking passionately about this topic. And he kept talking about blue light. And Hector, have you heard of what blue light is?
Blue light?
Yeah.
I've heard of a black light.
No, but blue.
No, I haven't heard of it.
So he kind of referred it to the radiation we get for our phones from, getting internet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all this stuff, electromagnetic field radiation we get. So have you heard of that concern, at least?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
yes.
So, and there's been long talk that there could actually be some sort of problem. It could develop into cancer or ear cancer, brain cancer, whatever, because it's next to your phone or every time you call someone, all this stuff, and the field could be big enough to affect you. And since we use our phones daily, it's become a concern. But so far, there's no real scientific research to support that. But I remember during that time, he just kept saying how, oh, dude, like, you gotta put your phone on airplane mode so your balls don't fry while your phone's in your pocket and all this stuff. So,
hey, why you gotta put it on airplane mode? Are the notifications gonna
because airplane mode
stir up your balls or something?
Airplane mode basically doesn't pull the internet anymore from the electromagnetic field, and that's why.
That's just funny. Like, oops, I got a notification. Oh, my balls are itching. It just
your balls
weird.
itch. That's when you know you got a notification.
No, I have heard this concern too, and the issue with this is a lot of this technology we're using is still new.
Mm-hmm.
There is like no hard evidence on a lot of this stuff, and that's what I've heard before. And the people you hear this from is from older people.
Yeah.
The boomers.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you hear this from. We're spending too much time on your phones. Oh, cancer, this and that. And what I heard too was there are those waves that you talked about coming and emitting from these pieces of technology, but I believe you'd have to really have it on you, like to your ear for like hours and like have that shit taped around your head to really have some sort of effect. I don't think it's significant enough to really affect us.
Well, yeah. Well, going back to my story, let's call this guy Bruno. So Bruno kept insisting, and the funny thing to me was that we kept chatting with the group of people, and that's what he kept mentioning for over like 2-3 hours. We were all chilling, and eventually I just cracked up, we left and all this stuff, and it's good. But it just came back up to me like this week, and I actually legit did some research. I was like, is this some real bullshit or some, conspiracy, some stuff like the 0.5% of the world actually believes in? And like you said, you need a big amount of this exposure to get some sort of damage, and it's true. So at the end, all the radiation, quote unquote, we call this radiation because there's different types of radiation throughout the categorization. It's just a category basically, and there's ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. So non-ionizing radiation is radio waves that we use for radios, for our phones, and then there's also microwave radiation, which is also non-ionizing, which is obviously not microwaves, and Bluetooth also falls under that category. So basically, non-ionizing radiation is the, let's say, good radiation because it doesn't give you cancer. At least it doesn't have support that it gives you cancer. While the ionizing radiation, such as actually like stuff like from Chernobyl, nukes and all this stuff, that's the bad stuff. So for the moment, non-ionizing radiation is fine. But the only thing that I kept thinking, even though, and I actually did a little research on this, because you're supposed to have some sort of, from what these people claim that actually affects your body, you're supposed to have under a certain measurement of radiation from the EMF or electromagnetic field. I'm just calling it EMF from now on. I'm not going to constantly say it, but you're supposed to have a certain amount of exposure so it won't affect you long term at least. Because that was one of my concerns. What if it, even though it's small, long term wise, it could at least not do something as big as cancer, but it could still bring up a health concern in the future. So at the end, I legit got electromagnetic field, what do you call it? Measure, whatever. Ordered it from Amazon, and then I'll just return it. But I legit measured everything. I measured.
Did you get this on Black Friday?
Yep.
You got it on Black Friday? Your Amazon Prime?
Hell yeah, man. I'll just return it.
You know, thank Jeff Bezos for that?
Nah. I'm going to thank, the daily workers that wrapped it up, such as a couple of my friends that are working there. You.
The true
former
hard
people
workers.
like that. You know what it is. But, so I measured everything. I measured laptop, Xbox wireless controller, phone with airplane mode, without airplane mode, TVs, and legit everything that we use isn't harmful at all. Like, I don't know why people bring up this concern. So I just did my little experiment, and at the end, nothing really came out as warning. The only thing that actually came up that was a little higher of the measurement than what you're supposed to be exposed to is your phone. Your phone has around like 1.6 I don't know what mg is in scientific terms, but mg of this EMF. And they say, at least from research, and I actually read the research as well from the report that they did. And you're supposed to have, like, let's say 1, and your phone at least, let's say 2 knuckles of a distance away from you. That's when it's safe, I would say, because it drops to around 1. But when it's super close, like when you're making a call, that's when the radiation goes to up to 1.6. So it's not that bad, and it's not like you make calls constantly, unless your text and your eyes are like literally next to the screen. You're fine. So I just wanted to bring up that little. The little research I did, and maybe some people had concerns, or maybe some other people just didn't care about this. But it was interesting to find out and learn all about the radiation, non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. Because at times you just think back in the days when microwaves had all that shitty radiation that messed up our ozone, the refrigerators and stuff.
Though. You have these older generations that they don't understand the technology now. And they don't understand that things have changed. They think a lot of that stuff applies now. And just like I was telling, I forgot what we were talking about right before this, but I specifically told you that quote by Bob Dylan where he said, "Don't criticize what you can't understand." And there is science saying otherwise, but people don't want those facts. People believe this is bad for you. They're going to look for evidence for that or against a specific position. But I think when I was reading too I think the most harm regarding phones is what's it called? There's an issue with people slouching a certain way because they're texting now. Like they're kind of slouching their neck over. I know that's a common issue with like posture, your neck and your back. And I think besides that and like driving and texting, I don't see much other harm.
People becoming hobbits and people getting car crashes. Okay, it's not bad.
Hey, I'm down to be a hobbit.
But it's like you said, the only legit concern I would have is probably the 5G network that's coming to the market nowadays. Time will just tell, man.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing with a lot of these new technologies. Like they have to be fleshed out, and like you, me, and Andrew have talked many times about this. And this is going on to a different part of technology. This is more game consoles. But whenever you have those year one. Those brand new game consoles, like they're not going to be flawless in the very beginning. Everything's going to have its flaws and its bugs. And a lot of these technologies, like, I'm sure dating back to like the telephone, I'll look into this after for next episode, if anything, but I'm sure there was flaws in the very beginning. They've shaped up and they've become a lot different.
Dude, hell yeah. Hey, but now talk about like old period stuff. I was recently thinking about this, and it's already a pretty noticeable or known concern around. But Hector, what do you think of overpopulation? Just like on the topic of
overpopulation. Yeah. I think Thanos had it right.
Yeah.
I think what we need is Infinity Gauntlet.
Freaking Avengers, man. Why did they have to do that?
Yeah.
It's a big concern.
It is an issue. Yeah, it's a concern. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. That's a concern. But I think you're thinking about it more in general. But I've thought about it in terms of immigration.
Oh,
and yeah, recently. That's what I was thinking about recently. And I was reading some articles, and they were because with this whole immigration and this whole ICE, all these concerns and things going on, all these issues. like a lot of those immigrants are a big part of our workforce, and they're very vital to different parts of our economy. I think of it in terms of that, but I think you're thinking of more widespread, more general, right?
Yeah, like
more like what Thanos was concerned about.
Yeah, basically overusing all our resources and all our food material and all this stuff. Like until I fear for the future, not now, for the future, to what point how bad it's gonna get, or until what would mankind and powerful people end up taking actions to resolve this, or just in general, just what will they do? It's always bring me a little bit of curiosity, because, and then it also ties in with medicine and people debate, we should fund more on this, but then other people are like, dude, we have enough people in the world. It sounds fucked up, obviously, because if you don't take this in the point of view, if you just ignore the first person, each situation perspective, and just think about it in general, that, like you said, Thanos was right. But I was just doing a little research, and they predict by 2100 the population growth will stop spiking up so much, and we'll have, according to this man right here, we'll have a total basically we'll have way more people, way too many more people, and it's gonna be around how many years is it? Like 90 years from now. So we'll be old and dead by then. Savage Unscripted might go on without us, who knows? But it makes you think about the countries that give most of this population away, and such as China. But then you also, it kind of mixes up your perspective on it, because some people in China don't have any resources. So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of a tricky question to ask, because overpopulation, yes, there's too many people around the world, and they may be using too many resources. But at the same time, people in more developed countries might be using 70% of those resources, while the other people that use the 30 are providing more resources, and obviously they're getting underpaid and all this stuff, but they don't use that many resources. So at the same time, it just makes you think, like, is it really the population that's the problem, or is it our efficiency? And
I think the tough part too is this is such a big problem, and we still struggle with the smaller ones. We can't even get along. I think the main trouble is we can't be civilized and discuss the smaller problems. When we're still having issues of race here, like that's like, we still have these smaller things we can't even have a discussion about. And then there's these bigger things we actually do need to talk about. We've talked about global warming and just bigger stuff, overpopulation. Those are big topics, but we can't even get along for the smaller ones.
That's true, man.
That's what makes it tough.
That's gonna be interesting. How would you say, the next elections that are gonna come up? Because at the end, like, the president sets the tone, and Obama, I don't know much research about this, but he basically focused on the general population and its how to take care of them well with Medicare, and that's all I know about him. But yeah, and then you go to Trump, and just to let people know, I do stocks. I try to do stocks, and trying to do more of earn a little more than what I usually try to get on my job. But enough of flexing. But since I was doing a little research the other day, when you check the stock market, and just a little background. So the NASDAQ is typically just, I think, the top 10 or 5 companies in the stock market, what their overall value is. And it has a point system. I don't know if it's based on money wise, but it has a point system. So right around when Obama's presidency came around, it was at 5 million. Okay, so that was only like 3 years ago. Okay, so now if you think about this, the freaking NASDAQ, I think it's almost gone over by 3 million from what I saw, or 3,000. Sorry, so it was 5,000. Now it's 8,665. So it's almost done 60% growth within 3 years. And that's all Trump. It was even announced in the beginning when literally his first speech of acceptance, or one of his first speeches when he won the race, was that he was like, hey, the Nasdaq is already up, and that's all me.
Yeah.
So Trump is all about, the stocks and the businesses. I wonder what the next president, either been Biden, Warren, Sanders, or Trump, or whoever rises if Trump gets impeached. Most likely not, but what would happen next, Because at the end, it will set the tone to any sort of focus that the general population will get, because at the end of the day, the president isn't typically the one that makes the hard decisions, but he also sets the tone on what's going on.
Yeah, and as those times come up, I know you and I said we both want to discuss in detail what actually is happening. My only concern is just, so I think I talked about in the recent podcast that when I was in high school, I was not into politics. I didn't get into it until the last election. And the reason I got into it is because I realized how important these issues are in our lives. Like, we may think like, oh, we're insignificant, we're just one vote, but that's a pretty flawed way of thinking about it. And when I was catching up at the election, one thing I realized is like, this is what politics should not be like. This is people attacking each other, and they're not talking policies. They're not talking about what we should do as a nation. They're talking about, hey, this is why this person is shitty. Hey, this is why I'm better. Like, it became very petty. And that's why I got into politics. It's just, I saw what it wasn't, and I wanted to become more involved, because that's how you make change. So my main concern is just, I hope this election is better than the last election. I hope it's not just attacking. It's not just, let's just team up on Trump. I want to see policies. That's how I vote. I want to see how is this affecting me. And that's how people should vote. It shouldn't just be, Republican, so fuck all these guys. Or vice versa. I'm Democrat, so screw Trump immediately. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, what do they have to offer?
I know we're already at our limit, just this whole discussion is really broad, and we definitely will need way more time to discuss this later on. But
yeah,
I was just wondering,
cap off for now.
Yeah, what do you think of our government system? You think it's well structured, or super flawed, or it could just need some small tweaks and improvements?
Yeah. That's gonna need a whole other episode. That's a whole other series.
But just those three options. What do you think? Like, really bad, okay,
what I will say,
really good?
What I will say is, it is flawed, but it is better than no system, and it is better than most systems.
Okay,
it is flawed.
Pause it, bro.
But we have something in place. I hope it gets better, and that's all I can say.
All right. So, people, you have heard this from us. We'll probably continue on with this episode on next week.
Yeah, this is a late recording, people. So, unfortunately, this will be a shorter one.
So, but anything else you want to say to our listeners and our followers out there?
I just want to say that the time is going by really fast. 2019 is so close to a close. It's December already. The day this is coming out is officially December 2nd. So, really just enjoy your time right now. Don't focus too much on the shopping. Just enjoy your today.
And plan for the future.
That's all I gotta say.
All right, and this has been Savages Unscripted. Follow us at savages.unscripted on Instagram or Twitter, savagesunscript. And this has been your boy Al/Papi Chulo.
And this is Hector.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.